Today, California holds the top spot in many agriculture production categories. 4 of the top 5 counties in agricultural sales in the U.S. are in the Central Valley. The state is known for its fruits, nuts, and vegetables that supply the majority of the country through its vast resources. But as a delegation of Texas Farm Bureau representatives found out, the industry is in flux.
We've seen a state that's gone from what could be a very productive place, able to produce a lot of food and feed a lot of people, but because of their regulations and the things that are working against our agriculture community, they're having a hard time surviving.
The land lacks one key ingredient, water. Annual averages can range from 20 inches in the north to only a couple in the south. Irrigation is a must. With that, California's agricultural industry has found itself on the front lines of a major water crisis. Importing water from areas of surplus to areas of need has long been the cornerstone of the state's water project. Today, the project spans more than 600 miles from north to south, includes 34 storage facilities, 20 pumping stations, and 700 miles of canals, tunnels, and pipelines.
Their forefathers were smart enough to put these canals and aqueducts and all this reservoirs that they built then, and they've got an excellent water delivery system, but it's just getting to where there's no more water.
However, California's water system is viewed by many as being outdated. The population it was designed to serve has more than doubled. Water rights exist on a hierarchy level, and agriculture, mainly in the southern part of the state, is left to suffer. Fresno County ranks number 1 in U.S. agriculture sales every year, but today the water has been cut back or turned off. The locals call it a congressional-created dust bowl. Signs line the highways calling for an end to the water crisis. The losses are mounting. Study shows tens of thousands of jobs have been lost, billions in revenue gone. The unemployment rate in places like Fresno County are approaching 40%. Water shortages are viewed as the predominant factor. The Endangered Species Act is a big reason why the water crisis has reached the federal level. The waterways of California are home to species of fish that have made their way onto the endangered species list. The Delta smelt and the Chinook salmon are 2 species most talked about, which have been successful in shutting down the water pumping operations. The massive pumping stations around California allow for water to be transferred from the storage reservoirs in the north to the major cities and farmland in the south. But the pumps also pose a threat to these same endangered fish. Research has shown the 2 species are in decline, but pinpointing the exact reason as to why is a disputed fact among experts. The state's Department of Water Resources runs a fish improvement section that monitors and counts those endangered species every 2 hours. If the count isn't right, the pumps are shut down. In recent years, farmers have been left to operate with only a fraction of the water they were promised. In other cases, some have resorted to paying hundreds of dollars per acre-foot of water just to sustain their high-cost orchard investments. Farmers face other regulation pressures, dairies in particular. Many have installed digesters that utilize the dairy's manure waste to create electricity. However, such an investment that is seen as a beneficial move for the environment is being met with heavy harassment from regulators and multiple agencies from all levels of government.
These regulations seem to change with the climate. Producers go out and they're asked to meet these certain standards for air quality, different things. And they meet those standards, they get below those standards, and then these regulatory agencies come back and they continue to lower those expectations.
Agriculture is one of California's largest industries, responsible for $37 billion in direct farm gate revenue each year, while supporting over 1.1 million jobs. But that revenue looks to be in jeopardy if the state continues down the same path.
I wouldn't fight it. I would throw my hands up and say, there's time to go get a real job. As a family operation, you work long hours anyway. You would have to have a person looking over the regulation and managing that part of it.
The constant hounding has forced many dairies to pick up and move out of state, choosing to head to the friendly business climate of Texas. The California agriculture industry is not going to go down without a fight. Efforts by the California Farm Bureau Federation to fight and head off the obstacles that face the industry are impressive. Farmers and ranchers around the state don't always see eye to eye on the various issues they face, but there is a move towards a more unified front as more regulations and restrictions seem to pop up on the drawing board. Adjustments are being made in every way to conserve by recycling water and installing irrigation systems that are more efficient.
There's going to be a lot of hazards, and as long as they've got the high value crops here and they can use the water efficiently, I think there'll be agriculture here because they feed a good part of the nation as far as their vegetable crops that go all over the world and all over our nation.
One of the main reasons for the trip is the concern with new regulations, as they tend to start out west and head east.
I'm concerned about that it may happen someday, maybe not too far in the future. It's probably moving that way from all indications on what they're trying to do on energy and EPA and these type of things now.
Texas will face its own unique set of water issues when the state legislature convenes in early 2011. Extreme regulations aren't as much of a concern at this point, but there are a few animals that could bring sweeping changes to the Lone Star State. If that becomes a reality, there would be a level of uncertainty not only for residents, but for the state's agriculture industry.
I think what we're learning here will give us some ideas of what to move forward with, what to visit with people about, things that need to be considered as far as conservation, things that need to be considered as far as legislative issues to make sure that agriculture doesn't take a second place or a minority seat on where the water is allocated and how it's handled.
For TFB News, Matt Felder, California.